American hero, a giant of Western civilization, and one of the most gallant and visionary men to ever walk the face of the earth. This Columbus Day, we honor his life with reverence and gratitude, and we pledge to reclaim his extraordinary legacy of faith, courage, perseverance, and virtue from the left-wing arsonists who sought to destroy his name and his memory. Born in Genoa, Italy in 1451, Columbus quickly emerged as a titan of the age of exploration. On August 3rd, 1492, following years of intense study, preparation, and petitioning, Christopher Columbus secured funding from the Spanish crown to set out on a daring expedition that most believed to be impossible. Commissioned by Ferdinando and Isabella of Spain, Columbus and his crew boarded 3 small ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, to set sail on a perilous voyage across the Atlantic. He was guided by a noble mission to discover a new trade route to Asia, bring glory to Spain, and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ to the distant lands. Just over 2 months later, on October 12, 1492, Columbus made landfall in modern-day Bahamas. Upon his arrival, he planted a majestic cross in a mighty act of devotion, dedicating the land to God and setting in motion America's proud birthright of faith. Though he initially believed he had arrived in Asia, his discovery opened up the vast frontier of untold splendors of the New World to Europe. He later ventured onward to Cuba and other islands in the Caribbean, exploring their coasts and engaging with their people. Guided by steadfast prayer and unwavering fortitude and resolve, Columbus's journey carried thousands of years of wisdom, philosophy, reason, and culture across the Atlantic into the Americas, paving the way for the ultimate triumph of Western civilization less than 3 centuries later on July 4th, 1776. Outrageously in recent years, Christopher Columbus has been a prime target of a vicious and merciless campaign to erase our history, slander our heroes, and attack our heritage. Before our very eyes, left-wing radicals toppled his statues, vandalized his monuments, tarnished his character, and sought to exile him from our public spaces. Under my leadership, those days are finally over, and our nation will now abide by a simple truth. Christopher Columbus was a true American hero, and every citizen is eternally indebted to his relentless determination. As we celebrate his legacy, we also acknowledge the contributions of the countless Italian Americans who, like him, have endlessly contributed to our culture and to our way of life. To this day, the United States and Italy share a special bond rooted in the timeless values of faith, family, and freedom. My administration looks forward to strengthening our long and storied friendship in the years to come. This Columbus Day, more than 500 years since Columbus arrived in the New World, we follow his example, we echo his resolve, and we offer our gratitude for his life of valor and grit. Above all, we commit to restoring a nation that once again dares to tame the unknown, honors our rich cultural inheritance, and offers rightful praise to our Creator above. In commemoration of Christopher Columbus's historic voyage, the Congress, by joint resolution of April 30th, 1934, and modified in 1968, as amended, has requested the President proclaim the second Monday of October of each year as Columbus Day. Now, therefore, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and by the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim October 13, 2025 as Columbus Day. I call upon the people of the United States to observe this day with the appropriate ceremonies and activities. I also direct the flag of the United States be displayed on all public buildings on the appointed day in honor of the great Christopher Columbus and all who have contributed to building our nation. In witness herewith, I hereon set my hand to this 9th day of October in the year of our Lord 2025 and of the independence of the United States of America, the 250th Donald J. Trump. So again, we made history by electing President Trump to the second term, and elections have consequences, and this is one of those consequences. So thank you all for joining today. I'm now going to turn this over to my co-sponsor, the Honorable Bill O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. You know, Columbus showed a great deal of bravery going across the ocean, and we thought there might be sea monsters attacking him and everything. But you know, great and extraordinary bravery still exists among us. I saw Senator McGough cut in front of Adam Sexton, knowing full well what could be said about him. So, great amount of bravery there. You know. We've found that food really does motivate people. Columbus was looking for spices in India, and we found in center-right meetings, all we have to do is feed people twice a month with some bagels, and they show up. So I noticed, well, that was a great proclamation. And I noticed as well, though, that the president proclaimed this past Friday as Leif Erikson Day for the great Scandinavian explorer. And this president of ours is a 3D master of political chess. You know, not only is he wrapping up the Italian-American vote today, but the Viking-American vote. That's a large consider it, buddy. You know, Columbus faced a lot of storms and all, and loss of faith among the crew, and mutiny and everything. And it so reminded me when I was reading this history of Governor Ayotte trying to get a budget through the legislation. but you know, Leif Erikson, they said, was the first person to discover America 1,000 years ago. And I was thinking, that just can't be true. The 1,000 years, of course, is true, but reports have it that Joe Biden met him on the beach. You know, all you have to do is just ask Joe. Do something. But let's get going. We have a great bunch of speakers here, and I want to turn it over to them. And in many ways, the format we have here is like a center-right meeting, and we give everybody 3 minutes to speak, and Scott gets up and talks way beyond 3 minutes. So why don't we start off with Drew Cline? I think you're first up.
All right, thanks, Bill. So I got here, I was told to come for, Columbus Day, it's going to be celebrating Italian Americans, and I get here, the bar's not open. There's no wine.
No wine.
I mean, you guys really, you've already screwed up. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they had wine on those ships, so lesson next time, Chuck, I want mimosas in the morning, right? The Italian mimosas, you can figure that out. So I want to do just a little bit of putting Christopher Columbus in context, right? Because that's what we're always told about history, is that, we're always scolded that, American history is just, you guys, it's not in context. You gotta reach back and put everybody in context. And I think we should do that as we celebrate today Bartholomew Diaz Day. I think that's not right. Vasco da Gama Day is today, right? It's not. So if you think about the age of exploration, and I want you to think about 1492 and think about like 1992, right? So Vasco da Gama and Bartholomew Diaz were sailing in the 1480s, right? So like think of the Reagan administration to the Bush administration. Like that's how tight things were in trying to find spice routes, trying to find trade routes. And to put this in a bigger context, why were they doing this in the 1470s, 1480s, 1490s? Like, it's Europe. Like, Europe's a pretty nice place to live. I mean, you're poorer than you would be here, but it's pretty nice, you know? You have religious wars, you have, you know, the Spanish Inquisition. You didn't expect that, did you? You have all kinds of crazy things going on. Why would they want to leave? Why would they be searching going west in the ocean? Well, there's a couple of things for context that I think you ought to consider. One is 1492 was also a historic year, not just for Columbus leaving from Spain, but for the Moors leaving from Spain. So I guess you guys might have heard of the Moors, you might have heard of that Islam conquered the peninsula, right? They conquered Portugal and Spain, parts of France, a big chunk of Eastern Europe. That was a little war, a little expansion of empire from the Middle East up into Europe that, you know, ended in 1492, only 800 years after it started. I think this is the context when we talk about Europeans sailing west, we kind of lose. Spain was a conquered, it wasn't even a nation, but it was a conquered territory in 711. That's when the Muslims conquered Spain. The Reconquista, which is trying to reconquer it by the Christians, finished in 1492. So just put that in context of religious war, of Ferdinand and Isabella uniting these two kingdoms in Spain and finally creating Spain, because there were just a bunch of little kingdoms before that. Because they were fighting warriors who had come up from the Mediterranean and conquered their land. So they finally get that done. But in 1453, we have something else that happened. Again, you gotta give a little context, you gotta go back to 1299, which was the start of the Ottoman Empire. We forget about almost no Ottoman Empire in European history today. In American history class, you never hear this. What was the Ottoman Empire? I don't know. It ended in 1922, after World War I. It finally collapsed. From 1299 to 1922. It was a Muslim empire that conquered much of the West. It had conquered Greece, it conquered Vienna. In 1453, if you know your They Might Be Giants history, excellent, I got one guy. There was a city called Constantinople, and then it became Istanbul, and then it became Istanbul, and we don't know why. It was conquered by the Turks. Well, Constantinople, Istanbul, sits on this little piece of land with a river running through it to the Black Sea, right? If you control that city, you control the trade from Europe to the east. It's like the Suez Canal today. And the Turks conquered that, and they shut off the trade in 1453 to outsiders. If you were in the empire, if you were Turkish, you could trade. If you were Europe, sorry, no more trade. They closed the Silk Road. So Europe has just kicked the Muslims out of the Iberian Peninsula. It's dealing with the Ottoman Empire. It's dealing with the Habsburgs. And its trade to the east, to China, to India, gets slammed shut. By the way, the Moors, the Ottomans took lots and lots and lots and lots of slaves. In the Ottoman Empire, they were known for having white slaves, European slaves, and they would take them back, particularly women and children. Again, this gets lost in the context, right? So we hear that, oh, you can't celebrate Columbus because, you know, his governance was a little rough. Well, this is the world that they lived in at the time. This is what they were trying to escape. So Diaz and da Gama go around Africa, and they try this, okay, we can't go through the Black Sea, we gotta go around. Columbus, this guy's thinking. You know, we hear about Leif Erikson. I know, I appreciate you mentioning Leif Erikson, but just picture like the Swedish chef from the Muppets. Like, he goes up there, cooks a little fish, nobody cares. We're trying to get a trade route to the Indies. Everybody's trying to go around the Ottoman Empire. And Columbus is like, you know, that's a long way to go around Africa. I bet if we just go that way, we could probably get there. And yeah, okay, so he measured the world a little smaller than it really is. So did everybody else. He was an unbelievable navigator, unbelievable bravery. These other guys were hugging the coast of Africa because they were scared, frankly. Who wants to go out there? There's, you know, okay, there's mermaids. Good, okay, we like that. But there's also sea monsters. So who wants to go out in the sea monsters? Columbus put together this expedition, founded not just by King and Queen of Spain, but by some Florentine bankers, yeah, more times, his own personal fortune from trading. And they put together, he tried 3 times, he finally convinced them, yeah, if we go that way, I bet we're going to find Japan. You know, it wasn't as crazy as it might sound today, because they didn't know. So I think when we think about celebrating Columbus, we have to put all that into context, right? The guy decides to go west, to find this trade route, to conquer new lands, to claim lands for Spain, right? That's part of why Spain wanted to do it. And he finds these islands, right? He finds what we know as America. So we get a lot of historical people, historians, a lot of school teachers like, Tim, you can't say he discovered America because there were people here. Okay, there it's like, okay, fine. What did he discover? I don't care if you claim who discovered America. That's not really what's important. The Vikings came to America and they Swedish chefed up around there and they made fish and it was great. But what happened? What came of that? Nothing. We don't celebrate the Erikson Day because it didn't lead to the United States of America. The reason we celebrate Columbus Day is because Columbus created a bridge between Europe and the New World. Permanent bridge. Because of Columbus, it opened up the New World to all those Europeans who were victims of the Spanish Inquisition, right? All those Europeans who were being persecuted, being thrown into slavery by the Ottomans, who were being persecuted by their own governments, but for their religion, for their faith, for their beliefs, for their tribal connections, right? It eventually opened up the New World to be founded by our founding fathers, to the Enlightenment. Columbus was a medieval guy, right? Another thing that they knock him on, he wasn't enlightened. Well, yeah, the Enlightenment hadn't happened yet. So he opens up this bridge to the New World. And what he discovered was a new frontier. Like, America is all about frontiers. It's all about expansion. It's all about finding your own identity, finding your own way in the world. He created a new world where Europeans could come and be themselves and have prosperity and create their own identities and their own country, which we celebrate now as the United States of America. And U.S. of A. could not exist without Christopher Columbus. That's why we celebrate it. That, to me, is his importance. And that's why I think all Americans should celebrate Columbus Day and be thankful for that. And we do that.
Your speech, I got a text from the White House political office, and they said, this is great, you're really shoring up things with the Italian Americans, but could you tell them to lay off Americans? And we've done all we can to put the Vikings here. So I want to turn to, and Hollie, your mission is to recover the Viking books for us.
Bill, can we have Steve Senator and Q say a couple of words real quick?
Oh, that's right. Sure. So you can do it then. You recover that Viking American book.
I don't know if I'll recover the Viking American votes, but I want to just thank Bill for giving the shortest speech of his life, and Drew for making it look even shorter. So I appreciate that. No, the real reason they asked me to come up is so Representative Cole wouldn't be the only one in a 3-piece suit. So I appreciate that. Did you let me down? You did. You look so good in it. You look better than me. So, anyways, that's why. Actually, why am I up here? I don't speak Spanish, a little bit of Spanish. I'm not Italian. I did find a red Sharpie to make my Irish flag into an Italian flag for the day. So that hopefully looks the part a little bit. So when I woke up this morning, I thought we would be talking about a problematic voyage of European navigation. At least if you were listening to the Democrats, that might be what they would tell you. We might want to talk about Indigenous Peoples Day, and that's okay, I respect that. But we're really talking about a voyage of entrepreneurship. Queen Isabella, I think, was the first venture capitalist. She finally gave Columbus the gold because she was tired of hearing him pitch. So she said, take this, get out of here, get on with yourself. He was aiming for India, 11,000 miles away, and he landed. Anybody know where he landed, actually? Anybody been there? I had to go to his house to learn some of this. Not the one in Italy or in Spain, the one on the cruise ship tour. Anybody been there? Nobody? Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic? That's where he landed. So 11,000 miles off, gets a federal holiday. It's unbelievable. That's what I call sticking the landing, if you ask me. So, like, I mean, that's a real story of failure turned into a massive success. So what happened when he did that? He opened trade routes, rewrote maps, and we wouldn't have a breakfast like this. We wouldn't have New Hampshire. We wouldn't have, like Drew said, we wouldn't have America. So really an incredible, incredible success story, and I'm glad we're here to celebrate it. We've got all sorts of things, great things to celebrate today, so I'll keep it pretty short. I know we have some great candidates we want to hear from today, but let's be honest, if Columbus showed up today, you have to get past the Coast Guard. Senator Birdsell remembers, that would be a tough feat on any day when she served, and probably even tougher now. He'd probably be filling out 16 DEI forms. Maybe it's 10 now, but he'd be filling out these forms trying to get in. He'd have to apply for an admissions waiver for the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. And then, probably he'd end up with some 20-something hysterical barista lecturing him on carbon politics. So a lot has changed thanks to the great policies of this administration, and we're happy about that. We just want to keep it going. All of his courage and faith and his sheer stubbornness has led the way for us. And this midterm is really important for us to keep that going in the face of any adversity like Columbus faced while he was crossing the oceans blue. Sorry, I had to be the first one to use it. So anyhow, let's just salute Columbus and others like him and raise the cups. And I'm going to bring up one other person today. I don't see Mike in the room, but he did remind us that we have some of our own heroines. So lest we forget the tactics, please don't forget Hannah Dustin today.
Oh, yeah.
Either. So I just brought Hannah with us, so we don't forget Hannah as well. If you want to get a closer look, that's how we memorialized Hannah in New Hampshire. We not only does she have a 25-foot statue, but we have a liquor bottle in New Hampshire. Didn't want you to forget that first thing in the morning, because as Drew pointed out, the bar is not open. So, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken. I really didn't think a pro-undocumented immigrant speech is on the agenda this morning. Thank you for that. Up next is Hollie Noveletsky. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Hollie Noveletsky, and I'm running for Congress in the 1st Congressional District. And as much as I like to talk about myself, we're here to talk about Columbus. And as a proud Jewish American, I'm a little perplexed. For those of you who don't know Yiddish, a little distraught. Because it was strongly rumored that Christopher was Jewish. Did you know that? So forget Indigenous Peoples Day, forget Columbus Day. It was actually originally named by his first name, who was Jewish. Shlomo Goldstein. It was originally Shlomo Goldstein. He was the first one who saw the new land. He was spying through his eyeglass, and he said, "Oi, Gewalt," which means, "Oh my God, we're going to hit land." And when they landed on the new land, Shlomo was one of the first people to encounter the natives, and he greeted them warmly with Shalom boys. And they became good friends. And it's rumored that he fell in love with a young Indian shiksa, but his mother was not too happy. So it was originally Shlomo Goldstein Day, until the fatal error that he made at the first Thanksgiving. He brought gifts of food. He brought gefilte fish. Even Jews don't like gefilte fish. And I don't know whose idea it was to make meatballs out of fish. He brought a tongue sandwich. I don't eat anything that tastes me bad. And he brought chicken soup. He brought matzo ball soup, but the matzo balls sank. Chris, on the other hand, brought a lovely meat lasagna, a couple of cannolis, and the famous turkey. And he was eventually, Shlomo was eventually picked up Shlomo Day, and it was made Columbus Day, because he who brought the better food. So let's raise a glass to Shlomo Goldstein Day, to non-revisionist history, and for calling a spade. So cheers. L'chaim. A footnote to that story is, I told this story to some of my employees, and I got a very blank look. And they said, I didn't know that. So we have to always be careful, because there are a lot of sheep, and we always need to make sure that we have good shepherds.
Thank you, Hollie. Because I didn't know that. Up next is Ambassador Senator Brown.
Well, it's great to see everybody. If you could make it maybe a half an hour later next time, so we need to get up at 5:30, that would be great. But especially after the Patriots won again, so that was great. First of all, yeah, I can't believe it. I almost gave away my season tickets. I've had since 1985, but we renewed. But more importantly, as we were all waking up and we're all driving here, one thing I think we have failed to mention is the remarkable effort that our president has made to bring peace to the Middle East and solve the between Israel and Hamas and bring the hostages back. I was listening to not only Bibi, who when I went to Israel met him and was really intrigued. If you've not been to Israel, I remember playing basketball in an underground bunker in Sderot and seeing the rockets and missiles lined up in a football field stacked as high as you could see, and the everyday wondering whether you're going to be wiped off the face of the earth is something real. And to see what our president has done with that effort to not only uniting the Arab world behind this peace accord and obviously getting the hostages back, the first non-Jew to receive the Israel Prize, forget the Nobel Peace Prize, this one I believe is more important because it comes from actually solving problems, unlike President Obama, who was apparently a visionary and was thinking about peace. Well, President Trump is actually going after and grabbing peace and shaking it up and making it real. So I want to just say thank you, President Trump. Obviously, I'd like to thank the Pine Tree Public Policy Institute for holding this. I'd like to thank our elected representatives. You guys had a great session last year, so I'm looking forward to seeing what you do this year because New Hampshire needs you. What you did with bail reform and the education freedom accounts and the sanctuary cities, you know, they're still nipping at our heels trying to change the way we live, take away that live free or die mentality. You know, we have 4 people in the federal government who put in roadblocks every single day, you know, thwarting that New Hampshire advantage. So thank you for your efforts and thank you for what you do. And I want to thank Davis and Lisa. Yesterday I was able, from Turning Point, I was able to participate in the rolling rally for Charlie Kirk, honoring his life and legacy after his assassination. There were probably 200, what do you think, Lisa, 200 cars easy, an amazing rally after, And it was so wonderful to see the honks and the thumbs up and people coming out of their houses and actually, saying thank you, thank you. But I'll be honest with you, there are some people there, I say, really on a Sunday, honoring somebody's legacy, some of the things you saw and heard from people, just lets us know, it makes me and others, I believe, stronger to go out and fight for the things that we really believe in. The good versus bad, the hard work that we all try to do to just protect free speech. I mean, those are the things that really matter. And when you think about Columbus, growing up, I'm 66 years old. Of course, everyone, my age knows about Columbus. And the things that stick out with me are pretty simple. And I just had to make some notes on the way up. Bravery. I mean, imagine getting in a ship with a bunch of buddies and just going somewhere. I mean, to think that, I have difficulty sometimes just saying, okay, how do I get, over to Littleton and up to Littleton or over here? I go, the travel must have been amazing. The vision, the honor, spirit, drive, determination, the energy to go and discover and make a difference. I think that's what we all have here. That's the New Hampshire way. That's that live free or die mentality, the ability to do and be better and fight for the things that you believe in. That's one of the reasons I'm running for the United States Senate, is to make sure that we have representation in Washington to push back against the craziness that's being thwarted upon us from the previous administration and make sure it doesn't happen again. So I want to thank all of you who have supported me so far. I encourage you to join ScottBrown.com's team and our team. Michael's here, I know, and I want to thank publicly Joe Sweeney. Joe was very, very helpful in getting this ship off the ground. And we're going to announce our numbers probably Wednesday after the President has his day in the sun. And I want to just thank you. So God bless you, God bless New Hampshire, and God bless America. Thank you.
Up next is Bedford's own Melissa Bailey, who didn't have to drive an hour.
That you organized this event around me. So when I was thinking about what to share with you today, I asked my family what they think Christopher Columbus would be most surprised by if he were to come back to America today. And I have a 6th grader and a couple of high schoolers, so you probably won't be surprised by some of their answers. They said cell phones, technology, cars. I did get an unusual answer. Someone said, by how small Plymouth Rock is, and I was like, ooh, they are not teaching you anything about Christopher Columbus in school these days, are they? But the best answer was, of course, navigation, GPS, which is pretty ironic. I'm up here talking about Christopher Columbus because I get lost leaving a parking lot without my nav on, so. But in all seriousness, I'm really excited to be up here today talking about Columbus Day. It seems small, but moments like this matter because we've all seen how year after year, bit by bit, our history and our traditions and our culture and common sense itself are being chipped away at. And it reminds me of our iconic Old Man in the Mountain, how it appeared like he collapsed overnight, but it was really a gradual weakening over a long period of time. It was year after year, bit by bit, the rock was cracking and water was seeping in, and it led to the eventual collapse. And that's exactly what I see has been going on in our country. As a mom, I've been on the front lines of raising a family, and I've seen how year after year, little by little, the far left has infused our culture, our politics, our schools, our institutions. And it's little things here and there. It's renaming Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, which is really hard to say. I don't think they thought that one through. But we're, of course, taking that back. But it's pronouns, and it's land acknowledgements, and it's Christmas cards becoming holiday cards. It's a million little things. And when you stack them all up, I look around and I ask myself, what are we left with and what are we passing on to the next generation? Right now, we need to protect the American family. We need to preserve the American dream. We need family, faith, and patriotism more than ever. And we can't cede another inch to the far left. So that's why I'm so excited that we're here today doing this. Let's celebrate loud and proud. Happy Columbus Day. Thank you.
And up next is an entire this campaigner. We've been following her for a number of years, and it's just great to have you here today. Lily Tang
better because I'm only 5'1", yeah. So this is the first time actually I'm going to share this little story about Columbus Day. I learned that in high school in China when I was growing up. Maybe because, he was trying to find a trading route to India and China, so Chinese government decided that we're going to teach you that part of history, nothing else. And of course, the whole curriculum about foreign history especially is targeting, attacking constantly against America. That's what we were fed. America is an imperialist country, colonized. It's like, what are you talking about? Now I know what really happened after I come to this country. But ever since I learned that, I always, think about America because of the new world, what that means to me. And when I was trying to desperate to leave China, after I graduated, I was teaching law and as a practice lawyer part-time, I decided to escape. But when I thought about I could be stuck without permission to leave China, guess what I was dreaming about? I made myself become a little mermaid and dig a big hole on the ground and saw the blue ocean. That was my dream, that I swim across Pacific Ocean to try to live in the land of free. And I'm just so blessed. I'm here, and I become an American citizen 37 years ago. And I willingly to choose to become American because I embrace American ideals. That means freedom, free market, capitalism, free enterprise, family, faith, and free speech, including our Second Amendment right. And I have been defending that free world, new world, a land of free, an opportunity called America for the past 11 years. And the people who sometimes question me, oh, where are your allegiance? You are born in China, you shouldn't go to our federal government. Well, America is not about where you were born. It's about what values you embrace. Would you rather have me to serve as a congressional representative in DC, or you would rather to have Representative Maggie Goodlander? She was born here, but so the difference is about the values. It's about how passionate you feel about defend America and defend American dream. And the freedom is fragile, it's precious, it's very easy to lose it. Just one election away. Think about President Trump did not win last year. We would not have peace today. I just saw hostages got released back to Israel. That was a great day, yeah. Of course, I wish he won the Nobel Prize, Peace Prize. We have to try again. And the thing is, the most important, what it means to me, Columbus Day, I'm just so grateful. I was out there constantly calling out the people on the other side, don't cancel our history. It doesn't matter, what you think about him personally, but discover the new world and discover America. So today we all can be proud American citizens and live under freedom. It's something that $1 million cannot buy you. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very blessed to run again. Maybe Sir Clemens Charm. I'm asking for your support, endorsement, and we're going to turn this seat to Republican seat. And happy Columbus Day. Thank you very much.
Discover something about me. I don't know how to say anything. So, and Lily, I don't want you to get discouraged here. We have had a bunch of people from New Hampshire that have represented us in Congress. We have a native of Mississippi, Senator Shaney, for example. who is our senator now. So good luck to you. One of the standout county and city chairs over the past several years was Brian Cole. And he gave me, when I go to RNC meetings, bragging rights, because I can tell anyone who's there that unlike most of their states, our largest city has a Republican mayor, and a majority of the city, the council, to the alderman, through the vote of the mayor, is controlled by Republicans. And no one else who I meet at the RNC can make that claim that their largest city is a Republican city. So thank you, Brian, and come on up and looking forward to your
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be in front of all of you. Happy Columbus Day. I want to talk about one of the serious issues facing the state of New Hampshire today, and that's energy. I've been in talks. I went down to Washington 3 weeks ago. I met with the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Energy. We talked about nuclear. In Michigan, they have the same exact setup that we have here in New Hampshire. They have a plant that's retired, and they're building 2 small modular nuclear reactors next to it. New Hampshire's facing an energy crisis. Everyone knows they're feeling the pinch in their pockets. We have the highest energy prices in the country. In speaking to this, I spoke to NextEra. NextEra is actually coming to the State House this Friday. We're going to be talking to them about moving forward with these modular reactors. In addition to that, I also reached out to Google. Google's interested in coming into the state of New Hampshire. I'd like to put a reactor up in Berlin. Berlin's economy has been decimated up there with logging industry. They need the infrastructure. Google's open to the idea. So we're going to continue to have talks. Like I said, we're going to be meeting with NextEra this Friday, and then after that meeting, we'll be following up with Google to further our discussions. I'm bringing a plant up to Berlin. The biotech industry. We need good jobs here in the state of New Hampshire. We met with $9 billion companies 2 weeks ago in Manchester to bring that industry here. We changed our laws in the state last year on the right to try. We say if you have 3 or 4 months to live, you should have every opportunity to try to save your life with any kind of treatment that's out there. Because we did that, we have the best laws in the country now for this industry. And this industry is interested in coming here. I actually wrote a piece of legislation for chronic illness. A company called Bedford in Manchester. They're growing bone right now in Manchester. Beyond that, they can grow your own cartilage back in your body. No more knee replacements. Low rotator cuff. You don't have to have your surgery anymore. This is what's coming. This is the future. And I want New Hampshire to be the brave trust of that bioindustry. It's plain and simple. Thirdly, our northern border. I met with the Sheriff's Department up there. We have 58 miles of border with Canada. The drugs are coming across our border. They're being brought down to Lawrence. It's going down to New York, being divided up in New York. And in New York, they're picking up the cocaine, the fentanyl, and they're trafficking it back through New Hampshire. The day that I was up there was 1 border patrolman on 58 miles. It's not sustainable. I go to Washington, I will get resources to protect our northern border and stop this cycle. Those are my big 3 initiatives that I'm looking forward and campaigning on for this next coming year. And look forward to seeing you all many, many times. Thank you for having me.
President General Manager of Manchester Media Group. Not here.
Sorry, she's not with us.
Tim, did you want to come up and?
No.
Up next is Christine Peters.
I'm fair to say up next and up last. All right, I just want to take 1 minute and thank the unsung hero of the room who has brought Columbus Day back to New Hampshire, and that is, known well to all of you, our own Chuck McGee. So, something that has been known only to my closest friends and those of you who checked Facebook this morning, it is my birthday. And I'm not telling telling you that because I want presents or anything. I'm telling you because that is my reason for loving Columbus Day since I was a little girl. It was a mixed blessing. I got the day off of school, but I didn't get to bring cupcakes in for everybody else. So I appreciate you celebrating here with me, and when Chuck asked us if we would partner, it was an enthusiastic yes without hesitation. And so I would like to say to you, in the words of Queen Isabella, I'm sure she said it just this way, vaya con Dios. Go with God.
We do want to thank everybody. I want to thank Tim for being such a good sport. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Thank you, Tim. And I want to thank the sponsors, Gables Group Media, Pastor Howard Kalugian, Grace in New England, Novus Public Affairs, Scott Brown, Senate, Friends of Victoria Sullivan. Thank you, Vicki. And Melissa Bailey for Congress. So I want to thank all of you for coming to this meeting and all of you for the support that you've given us at the Center Right meeting. We're going into our 10th year of holding those meetings, and our goal always was, Steve and my goal was to have more people who come to the New Hampshire Center Right meeting than go to Grover Norquist Washington meeting. And I think we've done that a few times. We have a great turnout, so thank you for your support today, and thank you for your support for those meetings.